Cavs defend the land to Irving's remarks well. The lead-up to the anticipated Cavs-Celtics tip-off was fueled by one of the main principles, when Kyrie Irving recently mentioned how he upgraded cities in terms of sports. Most people would agree with that. Boston is rich in history and championships, and also has hockey, while Cleveland is, well, not on the same radar. Of course, folks in Cleveland were rubbed raw anyway. Dave McMenamin of ESPN spoke to Cavs coach Tyronn Lue and Dwayne Wade, neither of whom were actually from Cleveland. To get the response, Lue was asked if he felt like Irving's comments were fanning the flames between the Cavs and Celtics leading up to their highly anticipated matchup on opening night next week. "I don't know," Lue said. "He can do what he wants to do. But we know in Cleveland, we have a great sports town in Cleveland. A great city, fans behind the teams 100%. So I'm happy to be here." Irving's observations were aimed at more than just the sports scene in the two cities. A lot of different cultures, food and people. You get it all, especially in Boston, Irving said, per the Globe. You would go to Cleveland, and it would be at nighttime and things would be going on, but you just see a vast difference in terms of what the Midwest is, Cleveland, and what Boston is. Boston, I'm driving in and thinking, I'm really playing in a real live sports city? And a great city. Boston, once a tortured fan base similar to Cleveland, has experienced a renaissance over the past 2 decades, capturing 10 pro sports championships since 2001. The Cavs won the first championship in Cleveland in 52 years, by beating the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 NBA Finals thanks in large part to Irving's go-ahead three-pointer in the final minute of Game 7. New Cavs guard Dwayne Wade, who, like Irving, played for only one NBA franchise his entire career before leaving the Miami Heat for the Chicago Bulls last summer, can appreciate that transition and gave Irving the benefit of the doubt. I've always tried not to be too, me personally, oversensitive to what I read or what somebody says because I wasn't there when they said it, Wade told ESPN. Because you just don't know. Boston is a big sports town. It has the history there. And I think that's one thing. If you want to read the quote, they have an amazing amount of sports history, and all the championships from football to baseball to all 4 sports. I think, depending on how you want to take it. If you're Cleveland and the way they were left, you read it one way. If you're a sports fan somewhere else, you read it another way. So it just depends on how someone wants to take the quote when someone says it. Unless you were there and you heard it and saw his facial reaction and know how he really meant it. That's how I look at things. However, Wade continued to say that he is careful with what he says so as not to alienate himself or come off as ungrateful. My thing has always been, even in Miami, first of all, you never know where you're going to be, what's going to happen, where you're going to end up, who you're going to be teammates with, Wade said. You just never know those things, so I never want to leave a place and talk about a place. Because when you were there, it was great, and then you leave, it's terrible. It's just like players. Fans celebrate players when they're there, and then they leave, and it's the worst thing. That's not me. That's not how I do things. I'm appreciative of what people have done for me, what organizations have done for me, and I hope they're appreciative of whatever I can bring or whatever I've done, on and off the court. So, it doesn't always go that way, but that's the way I try to make it when I can control it. Who is OKC's crunch guy? Now that Russell Westbrook has his help, the next task is to find out how to use it when the game is on the line. A comfortable understanding must develop between Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony, all of whom are fond of having the ball when it counts. Royce Young of ESPN took a look at the Thunder's good problem to have Westbrook owned clutch time last season, building an MVP campaign largely on late-game heroics. Westbrook attempted 184 of the Thunder's 303 clutch time shots last 5 minutes, margin within 5 last season. His usage rate was 62.3. If it was close, or the Thunder had a big shot to take, the ball was Russell Westbrook's, full stop. With Paul George and Carmelo Anthony now his teammates, that appears likely to change. Carmelo's been a closeout guy the places he's been, the same thing with Paul. But anytime you have a team you have to do it by finding the open man, Thunder coach Billy Donovan said. Clearly for us last year, somebody creating and generating a shot for himself or someone else, it was Russell. But obviously now with Carmelo and Paul being here, I think it's about making the right